Okay, we now come to our guest speaker slot. The Business Breakout does work hard to find great speakers who provide ideas and innovations to help move your business forward. Presentations can be based on research or an experience the speaker has encountered. If you'd like to present or know somebody you'd like to hear present, please let a member of the team know after the meeting. So today we're joined by one of our own, Nasser, from Business Pulse. And he's going to be talking about what they didn't tell you about the business interruption loan and how to save your business. This is a specialist area for Nasser, so I imagine it will be very insightful. So Nasser, please take it away, and then we'll hopefully have time for a couple of questions afterwards.
Right. Do you know if I can share my screen, Ali? Oh, cool. Okay, I'll share my screen in a moment or two. I mean, I think what I've been looking at is really how we've now got to a position where people need to think a little bit further than ahead if they've taken up an interruption loan, and hopefully there's a lot of finance people in there and finance experts, Claire and Gary in particular. So I'm feeling slightly, and Stuart, so I'm feeling slightly intimidated by the sheer knowledge that I'm talking to. I feel like I'm preaching to the converted. And obviously, please jump in. At the beginning, I'd like to just really air information that I've gleaned, and also I've put some slides on, you know, how we can look at cost control, how we can start to build our business going forward, and potentially the pitfalls of further borrowing down the line, which will be needed for the business to start moving forward. So the first thing I wanted to flag, I mean, I've obviously, you know, Kevin's almost fallen off the cliff edge already, is to look at how the bounce back loans and interruption loans can be used. Now, a lot of that, people are aware that the first 12 months of repayments and capital repayments are being basically waived, but it's the impact on the business going forward. It will have an impact on further borrowing because it will be flagged up that those loans were taken out at a given point. And of course, it will be flagged up and said in all honesty that it was for that period of time. So people do need to bear that in mind when they're looking at their businesses and going their businesses forward about actual leveraging further borrowing, and how that will be, although it's not being said by underwriters, how that will be viewed in terms of going forward with further borrowing into next year. So it's something that it came out of a discussion I was having with one of the platform owners that I've done some work with, and it's that matched with the fact that HMRC will be keeping a keen eye on companies that potentially have taken loans and they're maybe looking at pre-packing their business in January and February. And we've already had some cases flagged up in the press, whether they're correct in its saying, where basically funds have been taken for the benefit of the directors themselves rather than the business going forward. So really, those are the sort of things I wanted to really air, and hopefully people can, when communicating with their clients and communicating with their prospects alike, actually make that as a firm reminder. What was the purpose of the bounce back loan? What was the purpose of the business interruption loan? And how can you use those monies to springboard your business going forward? And so I put a couple of slides together really in terms of, and I'm happy to share the slides. I don't know if I've got my share screen. Right, so I've really got some terminologies that I think would be useful for people to have ready to hand, and I'm happy to to share that with everybody in terms of what the glossary is. There's a campaign. Primarily, I'd like to maybe target Claire and Gary. It'd be great if you could get involved in this campaign that I've got involved myself. And it's the hashtag Leave No Business Behind. It's predominantly aimed at the small, medium enterprise sector. And it needs as many experts as possible to be available for small businesses. I can't urge how many business owners are out there at the moment about how they've taken on these funds, they've taken on these loans, they've taken these loans with the fact that they're government backed, whether it be 80% or whether it be 100%, yeah? However, in a year's time, those funds will need to start being paid back, yeah? And we need to work as a community, yeah, to help these business owners create a strategy that they can use it to springboard their business going forward, because it's a 6-year loan. It's a 6-year loan at a given rate that will need to be paid back. And that liability rests solely with the owners themselves on that. And the bounce back loan, although there's no PG on it and various aspects, but it will still need to be paid back. And I think the leave behind, if you'd be kind enough to have a look at that, and Stuart, especially with you looking at acquisitions, that would be very helpful with your knowledge of that area, and Robert in particular with your VAT. I'm happy to share this glossary, mainly because I've got sent it by the Leave Behind guys, and it's really helpful. It has so many good snapshots of what is being bandied about as brand names and so forth. How am I doing on time, David? Oh, okay, so cost controls, really looking at how the costs of the company can be controlled in conjunction with springboarding out of the bounce backs and interruption loans. Again, what I've tried to create is something that resonates with all business owners and what they can then tell their clients and relate to their clients. So I'm not going to go through them verbatim, but I'm really keen to share these with people. So people that's here today, please feel free to take the information, look at it, customize it for your own businesses and your own client base, and actually start feeding that back out there. The final thing I really wanted to talk about in terms of springboarding forward is the two things on private investment. So I've become part of a high net worth individual group, looking at trying to work with growing companies on a private equity and investment basis that can complement and supplement their interruption loans and their bounce back loans. And they're looking at working with companies who have taken those loans, but with an aim of springboarding their business. So obviously I'll skip through this new start, but if you've got an established business and you're working as a finance advisor for them, the established business, 3-year forecast, a pitch deck, business plan, accounts and managed accounts. And I can work with you guys or work with the clients to actually help them springboard their business in the intervening period between now and when those loans are being repaid. And I think, for me, that's really another facet of capital raising that can work in conjunction with the particular loans that are being taken out by the companies themselves. And my final thing is time to pay arrangement with MHRC. Claire, you're probably well adept with this, but it's also so important that if you can negotiate with HMRC, whether it's yourself or whether it's the actual financial advisor or FD that you've got, that explain, be upfront, and actually try and look at how you can stretch your particular payments to HMRC. It's so important in this particular period of time as we springboard out of the COVID, is to actually be upfront with HMRC and utilise all the facilities and support network that you have going forward. So really, I've just tried to break it down in 3 or 4 components, and hopefully people can take away this information and utilise in their business areas.
Nasser, that's fantastic. That's some great detail there, and obviously a lot to cover in a short period of time. But so thank you for that. We have time for questions. So yes, who would like to ask Nasser?
I'm just going to stop the share so people can see my great backdrop of where I'd like to be.
Okay, who's got a question for Nasser then? Really different one, preferably.
Yeah, I just want to sort of butt in and just sort of say, absolutely bang on that. The problem with the sort of business interruption loans was that it was made too easy to actually obtain, particularly on the bounce back, not necessarily the receivables loans. We're actually authorised to administer the receivables lending through our lenders and through the banks. With the bounce back loans, they actually deregulated the sort of compliance from that side of it, which meant that if you were a sole proprietor or a partnership, you could still actually apply for a bounce back loan. That means that immediately you're personally liable for it. And there was no affordability, no stress testing, there was absolutely nothing for businesses to actually borrow that money. Now, when we're actually assessing clients and their requirements for funding, we have to follow a strict code of conduct to make sure the affordability and serviceability is actually there. This is where the issue is going to be. You're absolutely right. In 12 months' time, how they're going to pay that money back, because the individual gearing for that business has skyrocketed if they've actually taken down a loan. The lender's appetite is going to be greatly diminished because they won't be operating receivables or bounce backs post October, November. So there is actually going to be a tightening of belts in terms of lenders that actually want to get money out in the first place. So you're absolutely right, Nas. It's got to be down to cost control. That's all businesses can do at the moment. They've got to use that money wisely rather than just going out and buying vehicles with it, which I know some people have done.
But we've got some seriously excellent professionals in this, these boxes here, who are top of their game. And what I'm really keen is to get people to try and talk to people, talk to their customers, or talk to any of their business partners, and signpost them to people, because I think, you know, it's a ticking time bomb we're sitting on. And it's not about getting COVID out of the way. It's about actually saying, how can we help each other by creating an environment that will enable businesses to not only meet their financial obligations next year, but just see it as a part of their normal borrowing that helps them in a period of time.
Oh, Stuart.
I just want to come back on what Gary said. I thought part of the problem was, you said that they were personally liable. I thought part of the problem was that it's the business that's liable, not the directors. So the debt stays with the business.
You're absolutely right. However, and you've got the HMRC, the FCA, and also the banks have actually got a task force put together to investigate the claims going through. If they can find that money was not used for solely business and the actual business owners were taking the money out to support their own living needs, the HMRC will come crashing down, as will the FCA. So what they do is, because there is no personal guarantee, it doesn't mean to say that the person behind the business isn't liable for that debt. What they would do is the banks would come in, and because there's no personal guarantee, they can actually liquidate the business straight away without any recourse to the business owners. Once they've done that, that's when they'll actually then go for the business owners and potentially make them personally bankrupt.
Right. Do you think there is an appetite for that, given that they're 100% backed by the government?
There is, okay. So the actual backing, the guarantee doesn't mean to say that the government's going to sit and write a check out. The money that's gone out is the bank's own money. So the bits that are actually guaranteed are the bits that are unrecoverable. So the bank has to go through and try and recover the sums first.
Okay.
So that means seizing personal assets from the business owner that's actually taken a Seaballs or a bounce back. That's what they would do.
That's great. Good knowledge. Good knowledge.
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question for Nasser?
Yeah, Claire, I've just seen your chat box thing. More than happy to send that over to you.
Thank you.
I think it's really important that people who are working together, we can support each other, and I'm more than happy to do that.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have a question for you because I 100% agree. The kind of things that I'm worried about are, it's been so easy to borrow money now, and usually what would happen is if a business decides that they need to borrow money, they'll have an idea of what they're going to use it for, whether they're going to use it to reinvest in their business to make themselves more money, or whether it's a short-term temporary cash flow issue that they've got that they need to manage to get to the other side of. Because these loans have become so readily available, and it was so easy just to click through and get the money, we've got a whole load of businesses now with these loans and no plans for it. So, are they going to waste it? Are they going to spend it? I've worked with so many companies that come to me because they want to borrow money, and actually borrowing money is just a case of, are we going to end up closing your business now or in 6 months' time? The money isn't going to make a difference. So those are the kind of companies that I've really been trying to reach out to and have conversations with. You need to have a plan. You need to have a cash flow forecast. You need to know what you're going to do with the money and know that you're going to be able to repay it. Because like you say, it's a massive investment.
And that's what I'm trying to do. Sorry, just to dwell on this. I'm trying to flag this up for people that I genuinely believe that have taken everything out in good faith, but have just looked at it. It's going to be 12 months on, but it's now that we can work together to create a plan for them to be as least liable going forward. Yeah. And also to flag up awareness about HMRC, to flag up the fact that they will be looking at pre-packs, flag up the fact that actually, it's in HMRC's remit to question particular usage of the funding that's been government backed, because it's government backed. And that's why I'm so passionate about forums like this, where you can get experts in the field that will be able to disseminate it elsewhere and hopefully help as many people. Because I think I'm a big believer in collaborative partnerships that can actually help the businesses that we get involved in. I'll shut up now.
Count me in.
No, that's really interesting. Nasser, this Leave No Business Behind campaign, how can we find out more about that?
I can send everyone the Leave No. It's easy for you to say. I can send the hashtag and the sign up. Yeah, and I'll do that to everyone. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just so we can have a look at that in our
and it's a great community. It's not about one being better than the other. It's about a community-based process, and the glossaries come out of that. It's an idiot's guide glossary.
Terrific, great. Well, Nasser, thanks again very much. I think that was very, very useful for all of us. So thank you.